used to hide in the woods for hours. I knew the woods. I could get people lost in the woods. I had a good sense of David Crocker style, of knowing where I'm going in the wilderness. And I could build forts. I could survive. I could hear my father. He had a Volkswagen. I could hear him coming uphill and down. I would run out and go hide in the woods until he left. I would hide for hours, like them birds, damaged birds. Little ones used to fall out the nest. I used to bring them home and fix their wings so they could fly again. I took to animals. We had a huge lake, huge lake, and I had a little rowboat. I would sit in the little rowboat with my dog. He was a Brittany Spaniel named Freddie, and he used to sit there with me. And I just used to sit there. No one could get me in the middle of that lake, and I knew my father would not swim out there, beat the shit out of me. I was safe.
I was in county for 9 months. I went to school with the COs. They were my brother's friends. My brother was a CO, corrections officer, and he's friends with them. I was spoiled in county. It was like a piece of cake. All my drug dealer friends, they were coming in and out. I was a spoiled brat. But now I get the toughness in the jail, actually. They just throw you in there. Say, do this, do that. Until they strip you, which I never had to be naked in front of 30 girls. They just take your clothes off. There's a big room. I don't know if you could picture it with showers coming out of the walls. Like me and you taking a shower right there. And they're telling you to lift your breasts. That's when it hit me. You're in jail, bitch. You're in jail. And that's when you knew the real of it. It hit me.
When Elizabeth was born, she had a nice little pink, she was a nice little pink baby. She had loose little black ringlets. She looked kind of Sicilian. My mother went to go visit her in the nursery. She had blue marks on her. And my mother said to the lady, "Oh God, why is she black and blue? Is the baby damaged in the birth canal?" The nurse said, "Those are Mongolian marks. People of Asian descent, Black American or Afro-American, Italian descent have these marks and they go away after a while." My mother was stuck. And my mother's head is European, Italian descent. After I gave birth, I couldn't walk. I was paralyzed from the waist down. So the baby had to go home. She went to my sister's house. I stayed in the hospital for 2 months. Pigmentation set in. My sister was cool with it. After I got out the hospital, my friends wanted to get away. Then we go upstate, to where my parents are. I stopped by my mother's office. And I brought the baby inside, and she's a little dark. So I take her out the rocker and put it on the counter. And my mother's on the computer. She's mouthing, "I'll be with you in a minute." And the friend she works with, 20 plus years, come to see the baby. One of my mother's friends, Pat, picked up Elizabeth, and she's like, "Oh, she's so cute. She's so tiny." My mother, from the excitement, turned around. She looked again. She looked harder. And then she looked at me. She grabbed my arm and said, "You have the wrong baby. She's black. You gotta take her back." I'm like, "No, that's my daughter."
My son came March 22nd, 2011. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They handcuffed me, shackled and chained me, put me in the back of the police van, and took me to the hospital. They put me in a bed. They give me stuff to induce me about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd asked for the epidural. I was approved to get the epidural, and they never ended up giving me the epidural. With the contractions being so hard, I felt like I had to keep going to the bathroom. The female officer told me if I did not get back up and go on that bed, that she was going to handcuff me to the bed. And I basically told her, if you go ahead and do that, then you know what? I'm going to press charges against you. First, I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to have your job. You're going to be paying me. No, that's not happening. She got mad because I lashed back at her. And she walked out of the room because there was nothing she could do. Right when she was saying this to me, my water was breaking. The female officer left. Within a matter of an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, nobody had been in the room except for this officer. Older man, he had to have been about 87 years old. He was sitting in the chair across from me just watching me. I'm screaming out, I know my baby's coming, like right now. I literally ripped the sheets off my legs. I kept telling the nurses, they were coming in periodically, checking on me. Do not leave me, he's coming now. He's coming soon. And oh, no, you got time. You got plenty of time. I didn't have no time. And the nurse had just walked out of the room. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready. I need to push. I ripped the blankets back, lifted my legs up, and proceeded to push my son out. The officer, the poor man, I felt so bad for him because he came right over to me and he's looking at it and he's watching me push my son's head out and he's screaming for the doctors to help me, and they weren't even dressed or ready. Half my son's body was out. The doctors literally ran out half dressed and they caught my son. I'm so glad my son's neck didn't break because they didn't even have time to put the pillow underneath me or nothing. My son came right out. The doctor literally caught my son.
I'd like to see my mom bake. I'd like to watch her cook. My mom came from a family of 12 kids and she's the oldest. She's been cooking since she was about 9 years old. She always had me dressed pretty. Going to the hairdresser kept me on a diet. I always looked nice and neat. But with my mom, I used to love to watch her cook pies and macaroni and cheese. My favorite, cabbage and rice. My mom loves country music. And when I was growing up, she would always play the Juice Sisters and Dolly Parton, the old country classics. My mom was singing. She had a beautiful voice and she would get into it and wiggle her feet. She is from the South and she has that accent, so she sounds country. I love to hear her sing her country songs on her little corner, from her radio, in the kitchen.